Okay, so I will just briefly introduce myself and then we can start with the GE. I'm Harsh Gupta. I did BTech in Civil Engineering from NIT Calicut, and currently I'm pursuing finance from SIBM Pune. Now, the, today's G will be in a two-part. First, you will have a get to read the first part and 2 minute reading and thinking time, then followed by a 7 minute discussion on the topic. Then you can, in after the 7 minutes, in 1 minute you can conclude. The next 2 minutes again the reading and thinking for the next part, and then again 7 minutes for discussion, and final 2 minutes for concluding the topic. So this is going to be the part first part. Your reading time starts now. Reading and thinking.
I'm unable to see the screen. Is it presented for everyone? Because I'm unable to see
Uh,
it.
are others able to see, or can anyone respond?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
it
it's
is
visible.
visible.
So
Visible.
could you just repeat the timeline breakdown once more?
I will 1 second.
I'll just exit and join again, maybe. Because
Okay, 1 second. Should I stop and okay 1 second? Is it visible now?
Yeah, the screen was
Yeah, it's
visible from the
visible.
get-go.
Okay. So the guidelines are like first 2 minutes will be for the reading and thinking time, followed by a 7 minute discussion. In the next 1 minute, you can conclude the topic, conclude on that particular part. Then again 2 minutes for the reading and thinking for the second part, and then 7 minutes for discussion, and final 2 minutes for concluding the topic. Is it clear for everyone? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's clear.
Uh, did Meghna join? No.
Hello, just a question. Will you tell us about the timer, or we should be aware about that?
Okay, I will tell you the timers. I mean, yes, I will tell.
Okay, okay,
So
no problem.
will you be telling like the 2 minutes are over and now we can start the discussion, right? You will be.
Yes, yes, I will. I will. By the way, did Meghna join? If Meghna joins, just let inform me once so I can start.
Yes.
I'm able to see it now.
Okay, so we'll start. 2 minutes for the reading and thinking time starts now.
I think it's got. It's not visible.
I
Yeah.
think you minimized it. Could you?
No.
Time for thinking is over. Now
Hi.
we will
So
start.
what I believe is
if what we have to do is, we are a smart fitness wearable, watch wearable brand, right? And we have to target the segments which are within the mid price segment, right? It is not a luxury brand, and it's not a cheap on the go price brand. And they already have established markets in the US and Europe. That means in India, if we think from a social perspective also, it might be seen as a brand that is much that has a status symbol if they are established in US and Europe, right? So our objective is to enter India within 9 months with a massive nationwide online presence, right? And with us, we have some steps. We have 7 steps, and we have to launch them in terms of their importance and in what sequence they should be followed. Now, I have a framework which I believe can help us first signify 2 3 points within 2 buckets. We can give 2 buckets to and just drop 2 3 points in each bucket, and then sequence it accordingly. In the first bucket, we can have those points which are needed to actually enter the market and actually enter India, actually enter the market and start to be a presence. In the other bucket, we can drop the points which are there for what so how we can establish ourselves in the Indian market. So I'm open to discussion in dropping
Yeah.
the points in these buckets.
Yeah, I believe our first key
Yeah, so I
instinct
agree with what you're saying. In
is
the
to
two
focus on
buckets.
our market research and customer service. I believe it's very important to first identify which consumers we are targeting. We've specified mid-range, but under that, which age are we targeting? What is the income threshold? So I feel like that would better help us in making our further strategy. So if we're focusing on the 2 buckets, they could be first one could be conceptualization and the execution. So if we take the market research as the first step, then we can go on to after we've identified our segmentation, we can go on to the brand positioning and GTM, so that again we are better able to target our customers and enter the market effectively.
So in every brand we see it follows 3 phases, right? There is planning, there's execution, and there is corrective action. In planning, I believe the first point that we can go through with is positioning, segmenting, because Indian market is stratified in a lot of segments, and we need to keep a wide approach, since we also need to establish ourselves as a huge brand with a nationwide presence. So I believe the first point should be positioning and
But we
positioning and
cannot
But I
segmenting.
think
position
we are like
ourselves
little. Yeah,
before we
please go
do
ahead.
research. We can only position ourselves after we've done research of the audience, of the people we're targeting. So first always has to be our market research. Uske baad, I think we can go with a localization and local supplies. First, once we've established our market, so we've established what features Indian customers would want, right? If we think about fitness or running, after we've decided the features, we'd want to look at local suppliers who can only focus on those features. So I think for planning, it should go as market research, localization, and then local suppliers. Brand
Yeah,
positioning
market
will come
research.
when we decided our product and features.
Yeah, definitely market research does come first because I feel that it will set up the base before we start taking the next steps, and it definitely should be the stepping stone, and it will help us understanding what is the basically how much is the watch being used, what is the fitness behavior, what is the price sensitivity, and how customers are reacting to setting such a price, and also of the name like pulse rate what are the risks that that product will have. So all these things will get clarified in the market research. Second being, I agree that can be product localization and compliance, because once we have the insights from the market research, uh, adapting language, packaging, and like certain certifications will come under this step. So definitely, I think for first two steps should be clear, and third step being supply chain and manufacturing
I
strategy.
think
I'd like to
I would
disagree
like
here
to
once.
I have a
Sure.
slight different opinion here. If we can't put compliance second, reason being we have to first decide what features are we giving, and depending on those features, we can decide which type of compliance we have to give. For example, if we take the example of OnePlus, they feature themselves as uh, I would say a little bit cheap for the Indian market, and they didn't have IPS rating for waterproof. So we can decide the compliance afterwards. Second should be our positioning and the features we have to give to the customers. First being
Yeah,
market
I
research.
believe
I think
that
we
in
all agree
position.
about that.
I believe in that
I think
positioning.
we are
If
all
you can't
agreeing
go
on that
straight away
market
with
research will be the first thing,
localization and
right?
local supply, right? You can't go straight away into localization without actually defining what your market is. Suppose if I am giving out a cheap product or if I'm giving a mid-sized product, I can't localize it in a market where only the luxury products are being sold. So I believe first it should first positioning segmentation should be there, and then we can move forward with localization.
I
Yeah,
also
I believe that
agree
market
with the
research is the
others.
market.
No,
Yeah,
I
sorry, who was
also,
saying?
yeah. So I was saying that I also agree with the others that we should go with the market research first, because if we are not first doing the, like, we have EU and America market, so they are different compared to the Indian market. Indian market, what they want was is that they want cheap products, premium quality. So we should first do the market research, and like others said, we should do the product localization. So we should know what our customers are, and then we can add value to that. The third step, I believe, from my
Last
perspective,
one
is
minute for
that
concluding. Last 1 minute for concluding this.
okay. So third, I believe
Yeah,
we
so
can go
can
with marketing and launch campaign.
Okay, so we've
And we
so
need
compressed
to
can
the
I just say
conclude
that
here,
we have all
and we
agreed
need
that
to
market research would be
reset.
the first thing that we are going for.
Yes,
Market research should be the
definitely.
first thing. We are all
Yes,
agreeing on
yes,
that, right? And
yes,
yes.
after that, we
definitely.
are looking at the price segmentation. As someone said, we are looking at the segmentation of the
Hmm.
Indian
Positioning and
market. Yeah, and
right.
the
Yes.
positioning. And after that, we are going for the local. We are going.
Localization.
We'll look up at the manufacturing where we are going to manufacture the thing, the
No,
And then
third we
watches,
are
right?
going for
Hmm.
localization. Third we are going for
Hmm.
localization. So we
Hmm.
have, if we have to conclude, I would like to conclude by saying that we have put it into two buckets. We agreed to put
Hmm.
our steps into two buckets. In the first bucket, which was for mainly for entering the market, the first one was market research. The second point was positioning. The third point was localized local supply and compliance. And
fourth was
then
supply
we
chain
Then
had
yes,
to
management.
discuss about it.
I believe that fourth
And
we should
fourth
go with
is supply
marketing.
chain.
We don't have actually too much time, so I believe that the fourth one we should go with marketing. Like after understanding the product market, we should
Okay,
uh,
now we can move to the second part. It's time for this discussion for part one is over now.
sir, I
Just
think
just
yes, you are
just
on
just
mute.
a second. Just a second. Just a second. Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, the time is over. Just 1 second before you start the discussion. Who is Rick, by the way? I mean, because the name is not in
Yeah, it is
exact.
me.
No, I know. I mean, what is the
Somanlo,
exact?
Somanlo. Yeah.
Can you switch on your camera as well?
Yes, I have switched in or I think that there is some problem from the hardware end. That is why it is like that. It is already
Okay,
switched on.
okay, okay. Now time for discussion starts.
Hi. So
Okay,
what I
I
believe
do
is there
think
are
the steps
market.
are correct, but our customer support, I do think it should come before we've market launched our product. I think overall, once our end-to-end product descriptions done, right from our market research to our end customer sales and support as well, I think post that we can start our market launch, because we cannot have a half-baked product if we cannot have end-to-end control over it all.
So you are saying we should keep customer service and after sales before, like, in the
Uh,
The
before
timeline
the
for it is from
manufacturing.
6 to 8, right? So it is
Yeah,
starting before the market launch. The
Um,
timeline
it
is
is
given from
starting.
six
But
month six
no,
to eight.
marketing launch starts at seventh month. I do think if we started from the eighth month, it'd be still more feasible then. Because what if we have left some risk over our customer support and we've already market launched our product? That could give
I
us bad PR.
I think the
I think
the
marketing should go
concern you're
earlier than after
understanding.
sales because before like after sales is the last thing because there will be getting the feedback of how the product is going into the market and is the product market fit. So marketing will definitely be before the after sales, and I think 1 month is sufficient to like explore the channels and what channels through which we can keep the marketing and do the marketing.
I
Well,
believe
I
that
understand
So
marketing
what
I
your
can be
also
point
done
is.
believe
With
between
after
marketing
marketing
and
and
sales
launch,
service
retail.
is
everything will be
not just
faster
done
Uh,
by
after
us.
sales. But
It's
the
also
problem that
done
comes that
by our
no, the problem that comes is after sales and services. So see, we're looking at it from this point of view that marketing launch, we can always make the necessary changes based on the consumer feedback later on. But as you mentioned earlier, we do need to have a setup and research done into the services and customer support, because once a product has been launched into the market, there needs to be an existing system that works. Obviously, there will be customer reviews. There will be further understanding we receive at that point, but that can be incorporated later on. I definitely believe that marketing should come after the we have already created a system.
but what
One
I
thing
Yeah, I
believe
I
agree
would
is
with
like
you,
to
but I
highlight.
also
if
think
we
that
put
the
marketing
local
before
supply
services
and
retail,
is
right?
manufacturing
something that
If
strategy,
we
the
put
strategy
marketing
I
should
before
believe
give
this
retail,
some
after
vis-
we can
sales
put
services is
marketing before
something that is
retail.
not just done by us, it would also be done by our other channel partners. And as already mentioned before, we're going to be launched our marketing campaigns around 7 months. We would have 1 month to focus on our after sales services also, and then you improve your after sales services based on the feedback. So feedback is very important for it.
I have
So
one
I
more
We have one
point is
key
what
risk.
we can do
One
is what I propose is we can put marketing of the product before the retail channels are established, because this is kind of a pre-marketing of the product which we can do. The we can create the champions for the product, we can create the market, we can start by creating the market and the suspense of a new product being launched, since we have already set up all the manufacturing dependencies and we have already clarified our supply chains as well. What we need to find out is put on retail partners, but we can go from small to large in terms of retail. But in marketing, if we are entering within a span of 9 months, we need to enter with a blast, and that means we have to focus more on marketing. And what I feel is we can start marketing after our manufacturing dependencies are sorted out, and it is an overall process, so it will keep on going until even after the after sales process, but it should start before our retail dependencies are clarified out.
I
Yeah,
agree
so
with
agree
either
on
that.
you,
local
but I
I
supply
also
agree
think
with
chain
that
that.
we
and
should increase the
manufacturing
timelines
should
for
come
product
before.
localization and
Like
Earlier,
if
we
the
had
timeline
been
is
going
not
in circles
definite,
around
right?
marketing, launch, and after sales. We might end up wasting time like last time. So let's do this. Let's do a quick count on if you believe after sales and services, customer support should be like developed after marketing or before. Let's just do a quick count and then we'll just take that verdict and we will move on with the next. I,
I
for
believe
one, believe that
after sales
services and
should be
customer
done
support is
after your
something that should
marketing.
be developed in the first
Yeah,
place.
even I feel the same, but after
Yeah,
sales should
After
absolutely.
come
sales should be
post
done after the
marketing. Yeah.
marketing, because you can't have after sales if you
One
do
more
not have any
change that
sales.
I feel
No,
should
but we
come
have
is
to
local
provide the
supply
services
chain
of
and
after sale. We have to
manufacturing,
start
right?
providing the services before
Exactly.
marketing and launching.
um,
Yeah.
We have
We
So
to
can't
one
have
more
after
provide the
sales
and
services
without any
before
actual
marketing.
I
we
think
sales.
have to
we need
also
to
find out
discuss
some
other
bottlenecks
bottlenecks
because
also.
yeah, exactly. So one bottleneck that I find interesting is local supply chain and manufacturing is coming in fourth and fifth month. but it would be better if we can put it before, I think, product localization and compliance, because as someone had rightly pointed out earlier as well, that compliance is something that can come post that. And I feel that with the product more defined, our product will be able to, we will be able to lock down on our supply chain. We will be more confident on it.
I'd like to
And
No, we
I like
cannot
to
have.
disagree with you on one point.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is, you can't have a you can't set up your manufacturing capabilities and your you can't set up your manufacturing before your product actually complies with the rules and regulations of
Exactly.
that particular market, right? First, you
Yes.
need to get your
Exactly.
need to pass your product through the specific regulations
Compliance.
of the Indian market, and only then you can set up the manufacturing. So I believe that point is correct. What I believe is, again, I would start to say one risk or what bottleneck is, marketing should be before our
We cannot
retail
market a
channels.
product
we
if we
cannot.
don't know from where channels the product is going to
Yeah.
be sold on.
We can
If I,
always market. There is always
Hmm.
pre-marketing for a product
Uh,
before
but
it
I
is
do.
open
Yeah,
to
we
the
should
market,
start
right?
marketing before the actual sales. You are right, but I think before looking at marketing, we should look at product localization and the compliance part, regulatory part. We should increase the timeline for that. I don't think that 3 to 4 months of time months would be enough for that.
I have a suggestion. If we have concerns about pre-marketing, we could do one thing. We can start marketing from 6 months itself, but I believe we cannot put it over our retail and channel partners because it takes time, first of all, to
Hmm.
coordinate with people. For if you are applying to various retailers, you would be thoroughly doing a compliance test. You would be attending multiple meetings. It isn't something that is just done in a few days, and
I
I feel
think
like that is especially
Yeah,
very
I
important.
agree.
And
What we
if
one
can
that
one
falls
also
through and we
one
already
one
do.
start
one
the
point I would
marketing,
like to
that would put a
stress
bad
on.
impression on our company itself.
I agree, and what we
I
can also do is maybe someone said that compliance maybe is not very, we don't have enough 3 4 months. With our market research, we can also start research on compliance in India. We can have
Yeah,
market research
exactly.
and
Hmm.
compliance research hand in hand, so that will save us more time. So while we're researching our audience, our market, our customers, we can also research what kind of compliance and checks our product has to go through. If that
That
we
is
can
all
start
good.
with
That is all
the
good. We have to do some processes hand in hand. But right now, the task at hand is, what are we prioritizing? If
what are
in
the missing
terms we are
bottlenecks?
prioritizing in terms of deadlines, also, what point are we prioritizing? I'm sure we are doing hand in hand. We are doing other functions as well. But right now, the task in hand is, what are we actually prioritizing, or is there any change in what we should prioritize?
I think one thing we can prepone is market launch, because not necessarily we have to keep local support and retail before market launch. We can just start with online. This not necessarily we don't need any local support, because if we start with online and give our delivery services to standard services like delivery and all that, we can do that. So we can put market launch before that. This will also have one good effect, that we'll be able to provide good after sales and service, and a good after sales and service is an important factor for localization and local customers going to our shops.
but that would create
But
logistical
we are sure that after
thing.
sales, I'm hoping that after sales is actually the last point, because you can't have any after sales service without any
Yes,
sales,
yes,
right?
we've
That is the
agreed.
But we have to
basics.
start
Last two
providing
minutes,
the
one
service.
second.
We have to
Last two
start
minutes for
setting up the.
conclusion. Last 2 minutes for conclusion.
Okay, so what we've come up is that a lot of people have suggested that we cannot have after sales as a last. So what we can do is 6 month maybe when there's a product market launch as well. So in the 6 month itself, we'll have a basic customer support set, right? So that we're ready for a market launch itself. I think that satisfied everyone. Second
Yeah.
suggestion that we've come up is that compliance research and market research will start from the first month hand in hand. Is there any additional point that we've agreed on and we can put
Yeah,
forward?
there's one more. So first of all, we are all set, and we have all agreed for the first 3 points. That is market research first, positioning second, and third is localized local supply and compliance, right? Apart from this, the fourth point that we have also agreed upon is manufacturing ability. What we have got recommendations about is the basic customer support being started off since the marketing months only, or the retail. When we are setting up the retail, we are also setting up basic customer support, because it takes time. Apart from that, we are also on board with an we are also on board for localized chains happening much after. Like it's a continuous process happening even after retail. And one more recommendation is, of course, having our pre-marketing and marketing as well before retail and after retail as well.
All right. I think we could agree on that.
Okay, so we'll start with the feedback. But before that, how do you all think the GE went?
I
I mean,
think
starting
the
with
first
first.
the
Sorry.
first part, I think we didn't list out all the things in
Mhm.
right order. I think we were just stuck on the first two, three things. We didn't look at the last, I think, 4 points there. That was our point. And in the second discussion, I think the one bottleneck we found was marketing research and local compliance can't. So I think local compliance can't be just 3-4 months. We should start local compliance before that. And I think there was not too many bottlenecks we found in the second part. There was no key risk or anything. And on improvements part, I think we suggested some, but we didn't agree on. I think we were not all in agreement about the improvement part.
Okay, okay. So we'll start with the feedback. Just starting with the overall general feedback. So first of all, the first part was asking about how to, I mean, in a way, logical step for how to enter the into the Indian market. So you all were stuck in the first step without even, I mean, you were just naming the step without even stating about the factors that could influence it. And you were too much, I mean, stuck on the first step that you didn't even touch the later steps. So, I mean, the logical step should be, in a way, the first was to be without even, I mean, the company is from the US and they are entering into in the Indian market. So without proper market research, how can they enter into the Indian market? So that will be the first step that you all agreed on. Then the next about how you're going to proposition yourself. I mean, there are already different players. So that should be the second, because without knowing that, how can you check for the compliance or the risk factors? Because once you haven't even decided about the specifications of the product, you can't go for the compliance check. Then after that, you have to check if the product that you have decided with with the given specification, is it compliance in India or not? That should be the third factor, because if you start manufacturing before even checking for going for the compliance, your product is going to be discarded and you will have a loss. Then coming to then operational feasibility, if the how you're going to source your inputs, how you're going to manufacture, what plants are required, how you're going to in a way distribute your product. Then comes the fifth step, that will be how you're going to onboard the retail partners, because if you start your marketing first and if you haven't secured proper supply chain, there's going to be a demand supply mismatch and your brand reputation will go down. So that comes first before even starting the marketing and marketing. And the last step should be the post launch support system that can go parallelly with the marketing launch. That was the second part in a sequence it was given. In the second part, it was supposed to be, what are the bottlenecks? What are the possible risk factors that could impact the launch in the given time frame? And what the remedial steps you can take. So the first and foremost will be the regulatory and compliance. If you don't check the regulatory compliances, then if the product will not enter into the market. So for that, you can start with a single SKU first, and then you can launch variation. That could have been the probable solutions. And you can start, as many of you suggested, that we could start pre-compliance testing in the parallel with the GTM finalization. But many of you are also in support of the starting it later, but starting it later will impact. So starting first will be a better option. But you could have also added upon the SKU option. Like we can add a SKU, start with a single SKU, and then we can add variants. Then you can also had added that you could had hired in India experience certification consultants that could help you in a faster compliance check. Then coming to the second risk, the price segmentation. It's the 6K to 8K is a quite very dominating market segment. So differentiating the product will be quite challenging. I mean, marketing you can do, But first, you need, some of you were mentioning that marketing as the challenge. Marketing can be done if you have proposition your product quite well. So the price segmentation would be the second priority factor. So you can create an ecosystem, not just the hardware. You can position your product like not like a lifestyle gadget. You can be like fitness first kind of project. So positioning your product will be the second important factor, and this will be the remedial feature factor that you could do. Then comes the after sales and service, because if you are not giving them, since it's going to be online service as well, and the product reviews are not good, so it's going to impact your brand. So that should be the third one of the factors. Then comes the marketing and other factors, because these are the first factors that will impact your brand and positioning and how you're going to market. And the remedial features I mentioned, remedial measures you can do. Now coming to individual feedback. Jayant, in the first part you started with, but then you took too much time elaborating. I mean, it was good, but you could have added much more on some specific factors of the starting with the sequence. You took multiple entries, but only first one and the last that you concluded were adding point value. Then in the first part, overall feedback would be like you all were mostly discussing on the first and second steps only. So, I mean, I don't want to delve much into the individual. Next, we can go with the second part. In the second part, you started, I think, Ishita, you started. And then you mentioned about the support system. That was a valid risk factor, but you could have started with the other factors, because compliance will come first. If you have to prioritize, compliance will be the high priority. Then only can be the, then comes the second factor of differentiation, and then comes the support system. So you started with the last one first. So prioritization should be proper. Then after you, Saurabh went, but you mentioned once compliance can begin later on, but that will be impacted. And I think Jayant intervened in between, and you mentioned that compliance should go first, because without that we cannot launch project. That was good. But again, Jayant, you mentioned about the marketing first before launching, securing the supply chain. And I think two of you, Ishita and Meghna, you both of you corrected the same. But what I think Ishita lagged was you just mentioned one sentence and you just dropped off. You could have elaborated a bit. Then Meghna took over, and then you elaborated a bit in a better way. Yes, Ishita, you did one good thing, like you about after channel, you also mentioned about one more thing, compliance before thing. Compliance can go parallelly with the GTM that you mentioned, if I remember correctly. So that was a good point. Then Vignesh, I think I'm not able to recall your. I mean, I think I'm not able to recall. If you can again tell, I missed, I think, your point.
No, actually, I was the same thing. I was
because it was a bit technical glitch that, I mean, a network issue at that time, so I was not able to hear properly.
Okay. Actually, I was talking about the same thing that Meghna was saying, like after sales and service and customer should come before marketing, primarily because like that the system needs to be set in place before we further move on to marketing the said product. It essentially
Yes.
goes around that.
So, and second thing, you were trying to, I mean, in the second part, the sequence of the steps were already mentioned that was correct, right? You just had to focus on what could be the risk associated within that those that could impact the delivery within 9 months. And the
Yes.
second, what could be the remedial measures that you can take. But you all were focused on, in a way, I mean, you could have adjusted the timeline, but you were focused on the sequence of the steps more, I felt. So this was my overall. If you have any question, you can ask.
So actually, I have one question. So I just wanted to clarify. So you believe that after sales, service, and customer support should be before marketing, the second part?
No, it can go parallelly with, because see, it can go parallelly with the last one, securing the market and going, because you cannot start. You cannot start marketing before securing the supply chain, because suppose you start with the marketing and there is no proper supply, so the demand supply mismatch will be there.
So not talking about the supply, I was talking about the customer service support and after the management of that.
So that can go in parallel with the second last step.
Okay.
Parallel.
Parallel.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, any other doubt regarding GE or anything?
So one thing was that in it's sort of a personalized doubt. In the first case, right? Like I gave the intro and I set the framework of
It was
shifting
good.
to buckets and all. In my next entries, I was there like convincing the panel about the order of the points in which we were debating about what should come first. Should localization come first or should positioning?
Yes, I
So
meant that you were didn't add a point in the second and second entry, I would say, because you mentioned what we earlier were saying. You just in a way moderating the G in a way. I mean, you mentioned that this step that was already discussed, right? What you mentioned, you didn't add anything new. That's what I'm saying.
but sir, if the panel is like debating continuously about, like, it's divided, and if I come there to moderate or sometimes settle the score so that we can move forward with the discussion, won't that be like?
That will be, but if you do multiple times, it won't look good, right? I mean, you can do once in a while, but
Hmm.
if all your entries appear like that, it will not look good.
on- okay. And
You have,
in the second case, in the second
because in the
case,
initial steps also, you just give the framework.
hmm.
So it was like you gave the framework. In the second step, already you are in a half conclusion, like in midway conclusion. In the last also, you concluded only. So you have to add a value input as well, apart
All
from.
right. And so in the second case, like in the second case, there weren't much risks to talk about. There weren't much bottlenecks that we could come up with, and it was
No,
mostly a pretty. Yes.
yes, in the second, it was required to what could be the possible. I mean, what are the factors that could lead to delay in the launch within 9 months? So what could be the bottlenecks that was supposed to be answered?
But
So
in
the
a
first,
G like this, but in topics like this, we weren't able to come up with a lot of bottlenecks. Our
yes,
debate was still settling upon 2-3 points, and it were not they were not set risks. They were like more of key. We can do this also, and we can do that also, and we can do those hand in hand.
yes.
So is that a good enough like
That
solution or
would
debate?
have been, but if you had discussed in a sequence way, I mean, prioritizing which risk could you could have added. I agree that there are only few limiting or few risks. So, but you could prioritize those risks that could kill your time sometimes. Then, what could be the remedial measures? Because you didn't touch upon those factors. You just listed down the risk and in what
Mhm.
sequence should we go?
Okay, got it, sir.
Hi, this is not exactly a doubt. I actually joined, I'm from the audience. I joined
Okay.
5 minutes later after it started. Can you just show the first slide once again? The
One
first
second.
case. Yeah,
1 second.
yeah. Thank you.
See, the first was. Did you see the second part?
Yes,
Hello.
I completely saw
So
that.
the 7 steps were mentioned, right? Those were in jumbled way in the first part.
अच्छा ओके वही 7 को ऊपर नीचे ओके ठीक अंडरस्टूड ओके
Yes.
I just went down. Like in first case, there was only 7 minutes to discuss, right? So
Yes.
considering that the panel was of 8-9 people, so ideally, like if even let's say one entry, so like 40 seconds, if that's the ideal case, if
Sorry,
everyone gets to
sorry.
speak, right? I'm saying that in a 7 minute of GD and 8 people on the panel, ideally, like if everyone is putting in one entry, so like time stamp should be like 40 seconds or something per person. But if let's say in this case, like intro went like for I think 2.5 minutes or something, so like it was very less time left for others to like speak or something. So how can we make an entry in that case, or like because I felt like there was an entry from like Jan for now for in this case like in middle also. So like what could have been
Sometimes
better approach?
you may have to wait for a pause and you have to enter. I mean, suppose Jayant was speaking. If he keeps on speaking for 7 minutes, will you let him speak for 7 minutes? So you have to cut them after a time, after a point.
Okay.
So the intros and conclusion can like go on for a minute, max a minute and a half.
I mean, see, if you can speak up to your, I mean, someone is, in an actual JD, someone will actually intervene or someone will cut you after a point because they won't let you speak for 2.5, 3 minutes.
No, not
And
two and a
for
half,
sure.
3, but for intro and conclusion, like we can sit
1
here
minute,
for
1 minute. I mean, normally a 30-second entry will be suffice. 30 seconds to 40 seconds will be good. Entry can be 1 minute because
So
see, yes.
I had another question, so I'll ask after you answer.
So I was saying that 30 seconds to 40 seconds is sweet spot. In a 10 minutes GD, because it was 7 minutes, 10 minutes GD, three entries will be sweet point, 3 to 4. Not too much also, because that will appear like you are only, dominating the GD. And as I told last also, if you are making your first entry, someone else is also making their first entry. You should prioritize yourself. You have to be assertive. If you have already spoken twice, someone else is trying to speak for the first time, then you can let them the chance to speak. That will also be a brownie point. Yes, Meghna, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the second part, I think I was speaking, and in the middle of it, I was interrupted by multiple people. But I feel like at that point of time, my point, well, you couldn't hear my point probably because a lot of people were speaking. So should I restate that point after they've stopped speaking, or should I let it go? If my point is wasted that I was speaking about.
Suppose for entering, if many people are speaking, you have to be assertive to enter. So once you
No, it
enter,
was I was already speaking. I was in the middle of it. They probably thought that I was going to stop. That's why they started speaking. But I had another point. So
you may reiterate your previous. I mean, if you feel that panel may not have heard. So if you have a good point, and the panel is not hearing, so that is not going to be any good. So you can reiterate in a way.
okay.
Hello, I had a question. If 3 or 4 people are overlapping over a discussion, how assertive should we be?
I mean, you can increase your voice a bit to enter, and then you can be normal. How would I say? Like, suppose I am going to speak, and then I will speak like this in a way. You get my point.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes it will be if there are 4 people, two are trying, only one will. I mean, only one can enter, right? So it may be possible that you may also be trying, someone else also be trying to be assertive. Someone else might get the chance to speak. You may try next, and then you can get in the next one. It can be possible. So online GD is a bit difficult because not difficult, I would say, but manageable. But in offline also, it's more. If it's an online GD, you can be more assertive in a way because since you are in a physical presence. In offline, you have to be sure that your mic is on. Sometimes people speak and then they forget to switch on the mic, so you have to keep those things in mind as well.
Okay. So for our first entry, we should be more assertive, no?
If you are trying your first and others also first, you should be assertive to enter.
Okay.
Suppose, I mean, think like this. Suppose you can't make any entry in a GD, and you think if I become assertive, if I increase my voice, it will appear rude. But if you're not able to get a chance to speak, anyway, you're going to get eliminated. So you should try, right?
Yes.
And being loud it's not necessary that you're going to be rude. Be loud, then decrease your voice in a sophisticated way. Okay. And if you have a feeble voice, you can work on your voice modulation so that it will be more impactful. Anything else? So we can end the session here, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.